So this is on Netflix. So I thought it was gonna be. You're making me nervous with that. What are you?
We're good. I'm just double checking stuff.
Squirrel. Okay.
Squirrel. Okay. It's fine. It's fine. It'll work out. No, it'll work out.
Are you sure? Do you need to adjust anything?
No.
Is yours working and nobody else is working?
No, everyone's is working.
What's it called? It's like a period piece. Like
I just figured it out. I'm 4. All right. No. Okay. It's a period piece. I got it. All right.
So no, I like just like the.
Oh my god.
It's like the Viking series. I liked the show. It was really good.
You know what? It's fine. We're just gonna cut it out. So keep going, T Crawler. Welcome everyone to another episode of the world's greatest news and reviews.
Giving you opinions about nerd stuff is our superpower.
I'm Captain Mao.
I'm your boy T Crawler.
And I'm Weapon 2. And with all due respect to the English royals through all of their reigns, to be perfectly honest, I'm Team Viking. I'm down with the Danes.
Yes. I have genuinely missed hearing you rap and bust a sick flow, Weapon 2. And I have missed every one of you, our tens of fans, joining us on this, the latest episode of the world's greatest news and reviews. It is episode number 42, which is the answer to life, the universe, and everything. And we know what number it is because we just know. We didn't have to look it up right before starting at all. But we're back. Don't call it a comeback. TCZ, nice and easy, lemon squeezy, Weapon 2, a.k.a. Heavy Bills, a.k.a. Be Ill. How the hell are you guys? I'm excited. I'm so excited.
Are you?
I'm super excited too.
Me too.
So in this episode, we are going to talk a lot about Viking stuff. We are going to talk about Vikings Valhalla, the Netflix original spin-off series of Vikings. We're going to talk about The Last Kingdom. We're also going to talk about Peacemaker. I know T Crawler, who's Lonnie? I don't know who that person is. T Crawler did his review of Peacemaker, but Weapon 2 and I will give our thoughts on it. And then we're going to do a rapid fire segment where we just kind of rattle off what we think about stuff that has happened in the time we've been on hiatus. That said, if you are watching this on the YouTubes and you want to jump to one of the segments that we're watching, if you go to the description of the video, there are quick links in there. It'll have the subject of discussion. Click on that and it'll take you right to that timestamp in the video. So, and if you go back to all of our old podcasts from episode 11 forward, they all have that in the description. So if you want to see a review of a certain topic that we're talking about, but you don't want to sit through the entire podcast, that's your way to do it. You can jump right ahead with just a click of a button. Also, remember that we are on all kinds of audio platforms. We're on Spreaker, we're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, we're on Spotify. So you can check us out, audio version only, if that's what you want to do. So, okay, gentlemen, do you want to get into it?
Let's get into it. Do it now.
So let's start with Vikings.
Okay.
So I think Vikings Valhalla had a pretty high bar to live up to in terms of like following in the footsteps of Vikings. So if you don't know, Vikings Valhalla spin-off series takes place, about 100 years after the final season of Vikings.
Leif Erikson is the big guy in that one.
Son of Eric the Red, the famous berserker. Mm-hmm. So what did you guys think of Vikings Valhalla? T. Crawler, what did you think?
So you guys are all caught up on Vikings. I feel like crap because I didn't finish the second part of the last season
of Valhalla.
Vikings.
Oh, so you missed the actual finale?
Yeah. So
we just had this big long talk about how he's OG. He's the guy.
And then I start with you,
and he's like, pardon me. I want.
Damn it, T. Crawler.
Full disclosure.
Damn it.
Hold on.
I never finished that shit.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
I just want to be transparent here.
No, that's nice. There's
I'm
nothing wrong with that.
He said, you were OG. I'm like, so I was, but anyway, I went ahead and watched Vikings Valhalla because, doing that, it didn't matter because the way it started and the way it flowed, like, I didn't really need to watch, I just, as long as you know the main characters, because that's the ones that you mention, and like you see the certain villages and stuff, like, that.
To be fair, I'd argue you don't need to have watched Vikings at all, actually.
Yeah, true. It's one of those shows where you don't have to. So, but no, I liked it. It was really great. I liked the characters that were brought into this one and that you get to know. and then hearing the names from history. Like I like seeing things that are actually part of the actual history. That's
it's premiering on the channel.
Well, the original, yeah, but not Vikings Valhalla. It was on Netflix. Hello.
Wait, what network was that on?
Well, it started on History Channel.
Yeah, but I'm
It's
talking
on
about
history.
Vikings Valhalla.
It's about history, bro.
Continuation from the show on History Channel.
Netflix.
It's history. It's all about history.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
You guys. It was good.
Yeah.
I missed you guys so much. This is so
What did you
stupid.
think?
This is so stupid. All right.
I'll tell you what. There's nothing I like more than watching Vikings taking over the kingdoms of Wessex,
Yeah.
Mercia, Northumbria,
Yeah.
all of them.
Yeah.
I can't see enough of England
Yeah.
being invaded by the Danes.
We're looking at you too, East Anglia.
So-
we didn't forget about you.
So if there's going to be a program about that, I'm watching it.
Daneland and the Heezy Fushies.
And I liked it. I liked it. All the stuff. It's just a continuation. If you just like keep continuing to watch all of these things, the funny thing is historically, all these names have existed for all different time periods, but between Vikings and Vikings of Valhalla and Last Kingdom, it's hard to keep track of who's where and what's going on because they intertwine. It's all the same historical names, and you're like, what? Who's where right now? Because I've got a little bit lost.
My issue with that, and it bleeds into the Last Kingdom also, because similar time periods. Everyone's names sound so damn similar. You have Ethelstan, Ethelfled, Ethel,
Ethelfred, Ethel Salary,
Yeah,
Ethel this, Ethel that,
Applesauce.
Ethel. All the English have to start with Ethel, or all or Ethel.
Apple.
That is confusing as hell. I agree with you. I'm like, who are we talking about right now? Which Ethel or all are we referring to?
Afwin.
freaking hated applesauce.
Yeah, applesauce.
I was already going to say that. It's the truth.
So confused, but it's like half the time you don't know who the fuck they're talking about. But
No!
then you'll see them like, oh yeah, I get it now. That guy.
That
I
apple.
hate
And
him.
you don't even know if it's a female or a male or who, because their names all sound the friggin' same.
Yeah.
Falafel.
Like literally, like Uhtred would say something like, "You want to hook up with him? Oh, that's the girl. My bad. Okay, that makes more sense.
That's truth, bro.
Like for real. Okay. Vikings Valhalla. I liked it. I thought it was a worthy follow up to the show Vikings, the original. My slight issue is just like, and I don't. Maybe it's just because I was consuming a lot of like Viking era media at the time, because like I was running through that. I was running through Last
You
Kingdom.
have Viking overload?
A little, cause like I was having a hard
Reversed.
time kind of connecting with the characters of Vikings Valhalla initially.
Drowning in Vikings?
Yeah, not to say that it wasn't good. I liked the story. The main guy, Leif Erikson, I thought he was really, really cool. The lead female, I can't remember her name. She was great. My thing is, okay,
The one that had the cross on her back?
yeah, cool. So her, you immediately like connect and empathize with, and you're
Yeah.
like, yeah, kill that mother, right?
Yeah,
So that was really cool. So the dude she hooks up with in the first episode, he was an interesting character because like you quite don't know where his allegiance is gonna lie. Like there's something that's just off about him the whole time.
Right.
Then you find out he's Homeboy's brother, and then he's planning on betraying him. But I don't know about you guys. Leading up until that final episode, I thought he was gonna betray his brother and like pick her and like side with her in the fight.
Yep.
And then that's exactly what didn't happen.
Right.
And then he's just laying there bleeding out, and you're like, oh, there's no like redemption here at all. I thought we were gonna have a redemption arc. I thought something was gonna happen. And then she still just saves him, and I was just like, that felt really like flat to me. That felt odd.
Yeah.
Also, I just love like old timey times where it's just like you have sex with somebody twice, and you're like, I love you. Like, like you have 2 one-night stands, and it's just like, yeah, like okay,
We're in love.
sure.
Things were more simple and
I
honest.
get it.
in
I
those
get
times.
it. It was a simple time.
Yes.
They use the word hump a lot.
They do use the word hump
Just
a
wants
lot.
to hump you.
Also,
They
Last
want to
Kingdom,
hump. It's
they say
like
turd a lot for some reason.
turd and hump.
Yeah.
Like, what?
I want to hump you. It's like, that's a weird thing to say out loud, bro.
I want to check the historical accuracy of those terminology for the times.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that was the proper
I mean,
things to refer to.
I'm going to take a wild stab in the dark and say they didn't say hump.
Oh, yeah.
But okay, so that aside, I liked it. There was that one.
They said they're going to make the beast with two backs.
The metaphorical beast with two backs. I'm a big fan of the term bumpin' uglies.
I don't think they said that. So
Yeah.
There was lots of really cool characters in it, and it was only 6 episodes or so, 6 or 8, something like that. So it was really short, but I'm very interested to see the next season. It got renewed for seasons 2 and seasons 3, so we will get more Viking content on there. So I'm excited for that. As a whole, I liked it. You don't need to have watched the previous Vikings show to get anything out of it, but you're right. They do name drop a lot, and they do reference things that happen, kind of enough to where those are basically just Easter eggs. Like if you watch the old show, you'll be like, oh, I know the thing you just said. So like that's cool, but you don't need to have watched it. So, all right. Segue into The Last Kingdom. Yes.
Yes, sounds great. Perfect. You're the king of the segues.
I'm gonna get one and right around. Zod is the king of the segues. He was really good at that. So I have not finished The Last Kingdom, the last season. So what we're gonna do is I'm about halfway done, a little bit past that.
Spoil this for you,
but on purpose. I gave them my consent.
I don't even care if you gave me consent. I was still gonna spoil it for you.
Spoil shit out of it.
We here at the world's greatest news and reviews wholly endorse giving consent in all things. So, so here's the thing. I have previously been on record. You could check out our Last Kingdom Season 4 review that Weapon 2 and I did, where I was on record stating that it was my favorite show that was airing at the time. I would still hold to that, except that this season, I feel like it's not... It started really slow for me, and there was lots of interesting kind of story threads that they left open that I was excited to see where they went, and it kind of just fell off. And it did this weird thing that like the original Viking series did, where it had a time jump, and like the old Viking show would make me laugh my ass off because I'm supposed to like buy that it's been like 30 years and everybody still looks exactly the same, minus a really fake looking beard here or there. You know what I mean? So Uhtred's got to be pushing, I don't know, 60 by this point. Still looks 30.
He looks 30.
And then the king, Athel, whoever the fuck, he was a baby in the first season, and he's rocking the worst fake beard since The Rock in that god-awful Hercules movie. So, like...
Oh, no.
It
Very
looks
regal.
It looks so stupid.
Oh, no.
And the actor's like 12, so I can't take anything he says seriously. But anyway, that's nitpicks aside, so whatever. The storyline started picking up with Brita and all that, but like really, like it felt like that should have got wrapped up. I didn't give a shit about like his daughter. Like I like her, but her husband, Siegfried, whatever the hell. Like
he was like,
yeah. He and his brother Roy, like you should have killed him a long time ago.
Singlegareed or something. He had a really weird name, Singareed or something like that. Yeah.
I don't care. I don't like it. I don't. I've been bored most of this season, which is a shame because I really.
It ends strong.
Does it? Does it get going?
Yes. Yep.
Yes. All right. Spoil. Go. What happens?
So what happens is
historical stuff
is let's talk about history for one thing, okay? So in Last Kingdom, Canute got killed by Brita. Am I correct?
Canute, yes.
And he's the one who set up Uhtred to be murdered by Thurbrand. So that's what happened in history. So that's how this thing gets off the rails historically. Anyhow, I was worried that this thing was going to end in the murder of Uhtred, because historically, I mean, that's his end. He gets ambushed and stabbed in the back, and that's a bad thing. Yeah. But what happened in this is what were some of the things that you said you didn't like? Here's the deal: Brita keeps being a bad person that everybody's out to get. Then Uhtred goes out to kill her, and what do you know? He remembers the good times of when they were young and they were in love, and he forgives her, and then his daughter shoots her with an arrow and kills her at that moment.
Pretty badass.
He's going to let her live. He's going to forgive her, and then his daughter kills her.
Okay. So hang on. Let me digest this real quick. So Uhtred remembering the good times and choosing not to kill her. Audible sigh. Don't care. His daughter killing her. That's cool. I like that.
Believe in life after love.
She chopped his son's junk off.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
I know. And he's like,
also, hang on.
To be fair, he had married the church. he didn't really care about that anymore. He was going to be a priest anyhow.
Hang on.
Any which way.
When Brita's baby was like fucking pulling that bullshit Spider-Man up the church or whatever, and she's like, "Jump! I'll catch you!" And I'm like, "Will you though?"
I can fly.
And then she jumped. Spoilers. Didn't catch her. I audibly.
And she couldn't fly.
I LOL'd out loud. Like I was just like, "Lol."
Wow.
Actually, I was like, I don't know if I'm a bad person.
Mother gave you bad advice.
Like for
you should
real,
not have
though.
followed that at all.
Oh my god.
You should have listened to Uhtred, son of Uhtred. Uhtred of Bebenbeg.
Okay, so
Speaking of Bebenbeg,
does he ever get it back?
dude,
Yes.
listen here,
right.
bro.
Oh, yeah.
The fight goes to Bebenbeg because they take the sister niece of the queen who was supposed to be the new queen, but she didn't become the new queen. They kidnapped her and took her back to Bebenbeg, and what they had to do was Uhtred was supposed to sneak into the back through the cliffs. And so he's on his way to do that, and that impetuous king, he's impatient. He can't wait, so he decides it's been too long, and I'm not going to wait for Uhtred to complete his mission. I'm going to attack anyhow, any which way, right now. And so he attacks, and it's way too early. They're being attacked in the castle. They can't rescue her quite yet, and so then there's the attack going on. And because of his poor planning, the king, they're getting their arses handed to him out in front by the boiling oil and all the things and the arrows and all the things at him.
It's a straight up battle scene.
Oh yeah.
Yes, and so then now was it the Scots showed up, right?
Scots, yep.
I would like to go to Scotland and develop a Scottish accent. I love Scottish accents.
So while King Athelface, whatever, was there with his army attacking way sooner than Uhtred had told him to, like he said, wait for my
Impatient is what he was.
Athel impatient.
Yeah.
So Uhtred told him wait for my signal. He couldn't wait. He was impatient, obviously. And then, of course, like you were saying, the Scots were on their way. And then I'll let you continue.
And the Scotch show up, and they're being attacked on two fronts because the Scottish king and the people inside Bebenbeg, they open the doors and they come out and they're rushing on one side, and then the Scots are coming up behind them. They're attacking them from both sides, and what they start doing is they start pushing on the shield wall. So they're pushing on the shield wall, and they start forcing them off the cliff. So these poor fellas who thought, if I'm going to die in battle at the blade of a sword, are like, no, I am falling off a cliff.
Yeah,
and this is not cool at all because I'm hitting the rocks like a bag of meat. And they're like, we don't know what we're going to do. We're done for. And they're all being pushed off. And then Uhtred goes and convinces his daughter to bring all the rebel hidden forest Danes out to join the battle. And they're like, we aren't going to do it. And he's like, come on. I am a Saxon, but I have been raised by the Danes. And he pulls out his Thor's hammer and he says, "'Cause see?" And they say, okay. And so they join the battle and they save the rest of the people that are getting pushed off of the cliff. Now, the Scots, now that they're losing, decide we are going to burn this non-rock but wooden fortress castle, Bebenbeg, and they start setting it on fire.
Yeah.
And so Uhtred's in there, and he's like, I'm going down with the fort. I'm gonna burn up in here. And then a rain starts. The rain starts, and Uhtred starts crying. He cries like a little baby because it's starting to rain, and it saves Bebenbeg. And so they get saved. He wins. The Scots retreat. They decide that they're not going to keep attacking and claim the lands of Northumbria because he's not going to join the king of Wessex and Mercia, and he's going to stay neutral. I thought it ended strong.
Yeah.
So, but would you guys agree that it started pretty slow?
Yes.
Season? Okay, but
I agree it started slow.
It does end strong. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll definitely still check it out. I feel like I don't need to though, because listening to Weapon 2 give a synopsis on something, it's like you're there. History comes alive.
Yeah,
you gotta see it though, man.
I'll watch it.
The visuals.
I'll watch it. No, I'm gonna watch it.
Amazing.
Yeah. Okay, that sounds pretty interesting. So
as
a whole,
you're already on episode 7.
Yeah, I mean, I'm already there.
Finish it, man.
As a whole, though, are you guys happy with The Last Kingdom? Do you think it's a good show?
Yeah. I liked it all along. I thought it was pretty good. I'm surprised they got 5 seasons out of it, but
that's a lot for a Netflix show.
Yeah, it all seemed good. I enjoyed all of it.
Destiny is all.
So that was The Last Kingdom. Let's talk about Peacemaker.
Okay. All I want is peace, and I don't care how many innocent men, women, and children I have to kill to achieve peace.
Yeah. So if you guys haven't checked it out, yeah, right. T. Crawler did a video giving his thoughts as a whole on the series of Peacemaker. But we will
best intro of maybe any show that I can think of.
Like you never skip it.
Yes, I want to do the dance. I want to learn it. Yep.
So I thought that was a great show.
Yes,
I really, really loved it.
It was hysterical.
It was
funny.
It was hysterical. It was hyper freaking violence. All the characters had great chemistry. And then, so like you expect after watching The Suicide Squad and seeing the character Peacemaker, you expect that the show would have a certain tone in terms of comedy. And it does, and it is kind of like batshit crazy. But then all of a sudden, and this is like indicative to like a really good writer like James Gunn, all of a sudden, it hits you with like these super deep and dark character moments.
Right.
Out of freaking out of nowhere, and you're like, wait, what am I watching?
Right in the middle of all the funny. You're like, holy cow.
Like out of nowhere.
It's kind of serious.
Right.
Yeah.
But to me, like, those are the moments that really pulled me in and like changed the show from being just kind of a funny, kind of casual thing to something that I thought was exceptional. Like those moments that were consistent throughout that show, and every one of the members of that team, you get to see like more and more about them and like see like, you know, their trauma and the shit that they're going through. It was insane. And like everything that like Peacemaker's dad did to him, and you're just like, holy
yeah, he's a bad dude.
That was a horrible person.
He's a dirtbag.
But then it just hit, but then like it gives you time to breathe and like digest that, and then it hits you with more crazy funny action and all that. And Vigilante was unbelievably hysterical.
Very funny character.
I mean, he's kind of discount Deadpool, but it's fine because it works.
Right.
Yep.
That prison scene was one of the best things I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yep.
As a whole, I absolutely love this show. And
I don't know if I'm right about this, but I love the chemistry between the characters. I thought they had outstanding chemistry.
Yes.
You believed the interactions they were having, and when they decided that they liked each other and they were having fun together, like after the computer scientist killed the talking super gorilla with the chainsaw, and everybody's cheering and they're happy.
But Vigilante was jelly.
I wanted to use a chainsaw.
It was fun, and you believed it all, and it was like when they decided they were a team and they liked each other and they wanted to be around each other, you genuinely believed that was what was going on.
100% agree with you. And that's kind of what made the show.
Yeah,
is the chemistry between all the actors, and it was just great. And Eagly was hilarious.
Eagly was it's funny. He's freaking hugging.
Well, you know they had cast a different Vigilante and filmed all of these. Maybe 5 or 6 episodes, and they decided, nah, this ain't the guy for us, and then they had to reshoot and make it look like the other guy was in all of that.
Which is great because like you can't tell at all, but like how much does it suck to be the first dude? Like it's like, oh.
Yeah, especially since he's probably arguably the best character in that. It's like, oh yeah, well yeah.
I agree, best funnest character for sure.
So the best decision ever to put this new actor in there.
Yeah, that dude nailed it. It was fantastic.
That guy's freaking, that character's stupid as hell, but when it comes down to like getting down to business, that guy will kill the shit out of anything. Like he doesn't care. Yeah, he's like that family of butterflies. And like freaking Peacemaker was having.
I got it, buddy. I got it. Just give me the gun.
Dude, he just took.
He just had that hysterical, just naive, just
but then kind of sociopathic.
He was a naive, innocent sociopath who just didn't mind killing people, but was good at heart.
But then, and like,
in other ways.
but like some of the banter,
Genuine, completely genuine.
some of the banter was so funny. Like in the
Yeah.
early episodes when Vigilante was kind of like stalking them, and then the blonde chick sees it, and she's like, "You behind the trash can, get the fuck out of here!" And he stops. He's like, "I was gonna get out of here, but now like it's gonna seem like it's because you told me to." Like just shit like that, I would die laughing. Like, what am I watching right now? Like,
Oh, it was funny.
and then, so let's talk about the in the finale. One, I love that action sequence when they start wrecking people to the theme song and like the opening theme. Fantastic.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
And then, so like John Cena is talking shit the entire time. Which, by the way, let's talk about John Cena real quick. John Cena as an actor is much like The Rock to me in that they do one thing pretty well. And if you write that one thing really well, they will nail it.
Right.
And this is exactly the kind of role that John Cena should be in because he nails it. Like it's like it makes him seem like a much better actor than he is. Like it's fantastic.
It would be hard to see him in a completely 100% serious role.
Yeah, I don't
because he's a funny guy.
Yeah.
His expressions are funny.
Yep.
The way he just reacts to stuff is funny. This type of role is really good.
I didn't like him in The Marine. When
he tried.
I was like,
and so like this, when he could be an exaggerated version of himself. Same thing with The Rock. Like I don't want to see The Rock in a series. I've seen Rock in the serious movies, and he's not that good. So like this is what he does. And it's I'm sorry, T. Crawler. Like no, I know I just insulted your boy.
Yeah, it's not that that they're not that good. It's that this is so much better.
This is exactly
it's like no, that's good, but this is better.
It's the same thing as like Vin Diesel. He does one thing really well. Try to get family. Try to get him out of that, and it's not any good. But I love that John Cena was just like talking shit about all these DC characters, and I knew a thing that you must have loved is that he mentioned characters like Matter Eater Lad, which then all of a sudden like
I always talk about Matter Eater Lad. He's hysterical.
They're officially canon in the DCEU.
Yes.
Like they exist.
like I said,
Matter Eater Lad just eats everything.
That's like freaking
so stupid.
I loved it. Like especially when he like the episode I was saying in the video I did like. When he was talking about Kite Man, I'm like, dude,
I love Kite Man.
I just saw him in the Harley series.
Great show, by the way. Okay, so
he was talking shit about Superman.
Yeah, so that's like, I loved how he was like talking shit about all the Justice League, and then when like they actually showed up in the finale, which I could not believe they did that. So what I thought was gonna happen, what you guys probably thought too, was like they were gonna do like the BS silhouettes, kind of like the Shazam, Superman from like Don't Show That Neck Up,
right?
And they did that for like Superman and Wonder Woman,
right?
Which fine. But then all of a sudden they actually had Ezra Miller and Jason Momoa. I was like, oh, that's amazing. Yes. But the dialogue was the funniest freaking thing I've ever heard.
Because they wouldn't do that in their movie.
They couldn't. But because this is, rated R or whatever it is, he's just like, go fuck a fish, asshole. And then freaking Aquaman's like, I hate that rumor. Flash is like, it's not a rumor. Go fuck yourself, Barry. And I'm like, I live in a world where I just saw live action characters do, and like, Momoa and Ezra Miller wanted to lose it laughing.
Dude, I wonder how many takes they had to do because that shit was
and
so
like
funny.
I watched that and I rewatched that like 3 times, just losing my shit laughing. And then I was just like, you know what? I know there's gonna be people online that absolutely hate this, and I respect your opinion, but know that you're wrong. That was freaking amazing. That was so funny. I assume you guys agree.
Yes,
loved it.
I loved it. Yes.
Yep.
When I saw them when they're walking and I see him coming, I was like, "Oh my god, there they are! This is freaking awesome!" But like, yeah, it was I loved it. Fuck yourself, Barry.
So I'm on board. So friend of the show, H. Dresden, said he couldn't get into it, and so I actually do respect his opinion. If he can get into it, I get it. He only watched like half the first episode. I told him to give it a couple because like he hadn't got to the first moment in the first season, in the first episode, where that first real emotional thing hits Peacemaker. And I'm like, you got to get there to get that the show is going to be deeper. So I encourage him to keep watching it. But if it's not your cup of tea, it's not your cup of tea. I was blown away by how good the show was. Maybe I had super low expectations, but I thought it was phenomenal, and I can't wait for a second season.
Yeah.
I didn't know what type of expectations to have for it, but I was pleasantly surprised. And also, you're right about the things that hit you serious and that show some real, like, kind of thought-provoking kind of things you got to think about as far as emotions and life situations. Also, sometimes shows are just supposed to be fun to watch
right.
and make you feel happy to watch it. That also, even without the other stuff, that show still does that.
Yeah, so take away the serious parts of it. It would still just be a fun popcorn, like turn my brain off laugh show.
Right.
But like and I think that's what really made me like it, was like those moments made the show better than it needed to be good.
Right. I agree with you.
And I think that's what put it over the top for me, along with all the performances, the chemistry, the writing, all of that. So, all right. So that's what we thought of the Peacemaker. So now we are going to hit some rapid fire topics, because there's been lots of stuff that has come out in the time we've been on the break. And we're going to try not to spend too much time on any of these, even though we could spend a whole podcast devoted to most of these. So, Spider-Man, No Way Home. We are going to try to keep this short.
Yeah.
Real quick. I don't know if you know, some shit went down in that movie.
No, a lot of shit went down in that movie.
T. Crawler is to Spider-Man as I am to Batman, as Weapon 2 is to Star Wars. So T. Crawler. Huh?
Yeah.
What did you think?
No, I loved it. There's so much stuff about this that I loved. We get a lot of things that the fans wanted, and the way they put it together, the way they did this is just like, again, like, I mean, MCU has a way of making these movies emotional roller coasters. You're like, funny, laughing, and then you're like freaking serious, and you're like, holy crap, like I can't believe this is happening. Then you're like funny, like it's up and down, like it's crazy. The few things I want to point out is I love the fact that we get to see the other Spider-Man in this movie. The Andrew Garfield.
What?
Tobey
There's
Maguire.
other Spider-Man in this movie?
Yes.
Spoilers.
Yes.
For a movie that came out in December.
Yes, you get to see all that. I love the interaction between these guys.
Wait, you've seen it, right? Okay.
Wait, what? Yeah.
What? Wait, what?
Did you see? Yeah. Okay.
I saw it. We know what they wanted. We gave it to them. We gave it to them. Just like they wanted.
Like, thank you, Kevin Feige. Like, for real.
The interactions between these guys, the things, the questions they ask, the stuff they talk about that a lot of us as fans wonder, like especially with the web thing.
Does that come out of anywhere?
Like, I love those kind of questions, and I love the fact that they're like talking about what they face. Like, I want to fight aliens. Like Andrew Garfield and his like.
I would watch a movie just of their dialogue.
Dude, it was freaking.
I love the pep talk from Tobey Maguire. He's like, let's talk about the self talk that we maybe hear. Like, you are amazing. Can you just say it with me that you're amazing?
Right, you're amazing. I love how meta they were with this. I love like Jamie Foxx as he talks about his new look. Like, because everybody hated the original Electro and how he looked as just the blue face, like, and the Goblin in this one was so badass. Like that guy was like, holy shit! Like, he was tearing Peter up. Like, he fucking he was wrecking him. Like,
I love that we've been with this Spider-Man for like 5+ movies, and then William Dafoe's Goblin shows up and like 20 minutes in just wrecks his entire world. Becomes his #1 villain. Like, beats the ever-loving shit out of him.
Holy
this
shit.
was the Green Goblin we always wanted.
Like,
this is the one
real.
that we always needed that we didn't get.
And that we knew that that William Dafoe was capable of, and he kind of gave us, but then this
so much stuff in this movie that was just freaking awesome. Like, and then the whole thing with Doctor Strange, like Peter and Doctor Strange going at it, and he's talking about how he just beat Doctor Strange and left him in this whatever realm he was in.
Because of math.
Math
is cool.
You can't argue with math.
No. But the thing, I love the part where he pushes Peter out of the freaking spider suit. He's like, whoa. And like he's...
The spider sense.
Strange is trying to get the cube, and the body of the Spider-Man is like still moving. He's like, how are you doing that? And he's like, I don't know. This is cool. Like,
and an attention to detail is like Peter's like transparent body had the squiggly lines on his head, which is what in the comics shows his spider sense. That was so freaking cool.
Loved it.
Yeah.
His Peter tingle.
All right, try to keep it quick. I loved it. Obviously, I love this freaking movie. This is awesome. Like,
I agree with everything you just said, like wholeheartedly. So real quick for me, seeing them all together was great. I think Andrew Garfield, this was kind of his redemption movie, because as I've said before, the Amazing Spider-Man movies aren't very good. He was phenomenal. He and Emma Stone were both phenomenal in those movies, and this really showed it, because to me, he was just oozing charisma. Like, he stole every scene that he was in. I definitely like that he got that. He jumping off and like saving MJ from the fall, his like redemption there, like genuinely brought me to tears. I love that. William Dafoe stole the freaking movie. Man, like he like literally Green Goblin is like Peter Parker's Joker, like the Batman, and so literally seeing him come in and just immediately be the worst villain that our MCU Peter has ever faced was amazing. I love that Aunt May died, and that right before she did that, she delivered the line.
I don't love that Aunt May died. Hold on. Okay. Hold on, pal. You love that Aunt May died.
Context.
What's wrong with you? What's wrong? You're an animal.
To be fair, I did say that earlier in this podcast that I cheered when a little girl fell off a building.
Oh my God.
So that said, I love how they did that. That she dies, she delivers that line. And I think we all kind of just assumed that, we didn't see Uncle Ben dying, so we assumed he probably gave that line.
Right.
But I like that we actually saw it be delivered here. And like when that just happened, I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. Like I like that it's different, but still the same. But the way they tied that in when they had that talk, and it was
in this universe, we don't know that Uncle Ben said anything.
Right. And I like
we don't know that he said anything.
And I like that they went there.
And they went there. They talked about it.
Yeah.
Like,
and then
Uncle Ben told us that.
And like as Tom Holland's saying it, like Tobey Maguire jumps in, and then he's like, how the hell do you know that? And then Andrew Garfield, like they're all like, that's exactly. So then know like that is like an absolute point in time. Like for any Spider-Man in any time, like that has to happen. And then Tobey Maguire to follow it up with, maybe she didn't die for nothing. That was beautiful. That was so good. Right. Loved everything about that. Weapon 2, what did you think?
I love the multiverse.
Right.
Thank you. I love
so much.
The multiverse. This gives us so many options to do all kinds of fabulous things. Mm-hmm. And so I liked it. It was the biggest fan service you could get.
Like, for real. But without feeling cheap.
No. It was like, every time all the favorites showed up.
Yes.
When they showed up, you're like, oh man, God. You're like happy that they showed up and excited. What's going to happen? And it's just a good movie. And when they're in the battle and they're all fighting and they're all doing Spider-Man things, that's good teamwork. That's good Spider-Man teamwork. That's what I say.
The Avengers? That's great.
Is that
Is
that a rock band?
It's so funny that you can say all these things that we've become accustomed to in the MCU. You can bring these people in. They're like, I don't even know what you're talking about. What? Explain this to me like I'm 5 years old, because I don't even know what we're talking about right now.
So freaking good.
Yeah.
So one more thing. I know we want to keep this quick, but one more thing that I thought was genius with the MCU, Kevin Feige, and all that stuff. The fact that they introduced the Netflix Daredevil and Kingpin at basically the same time.
Yeah,
so
and
episode
Hawkeye.
6 or 5 of Hawkeye introduced Kingpin, which basically was within days of No Way Home airing and showing that
Charlie Cox
was Matt Murdock, Daredevil. I was like, the way they did that was freaking genius. I'm like,
you have to praise the planning and the timing and like, because again, like, and even like Yelena from Black Widow showing up in that show, like so you see Black Widow, like, oh, that might tie in, 3 years from now, and then it ties in like 3 months later. Like the fact that they have everything thought out and planned,
and that's what I tell people. That's what you get when you have a person like Kevin Feige in a place that enjoys this type of stuff. He's a fan of these comics. That's why he does, and he he wants to make sure the casting is right. He wants to make sure the storyline, continuity, all that stuff. I love it. Like, his favorite team is Fantastic Four, so we know when he wants to do Fantastic Four, he's not rushing into it. He's going to make sure that this is done the way a person that loves his team, this family, is going to do it right.
And he's going to do it in a way that makes sense.
And he already mentioned the X-Men. He's like, but these, I'm going to keep them on the shelf because everybody is really heated about the way they were done, and all the continuity was all off. We're gonna wait. We're gonna bring them in the right way. And I love that he's doing this.
And also because they have their plan already set for the next X amount of years.
Yeah.
So they're not just gonna like shuffle them in out of nowhere. Right. So I agree with everything you just said. Fantastic. So
speaking of Willem Dafoe, if you there's a picture that was released. If you go to the World's Greatest Facebook page and the World's Greatest News and Reviews, you will see he was on the set of Moon Knight.
Ooh,
what in the world was Willem Dafoe, aka the Green Goblin, doing on the set of Moon Knight?
You know what, Weapon 2? What I smell? I smell another segue. It's almost like stuck the landing. It's almost like we're kind of professional. We're really not. Weapon 2.
About Moon Knight? Is that what we're talking about now? Oh my goodness. So Moon Knight was always a character that I liked through comics. I never delved deep into Moon Knight. So when they're coming up with this, I was excited. I probably refreshed myself a little more. I kind of got into, I think, the volume 8 maybe of the Moon Knight. I read that whole thing. That was interesting. Kind of a mind fuck. It's pretty crazy. It's one of the craziest comic books I've ever read, where they're like jumping all over the place. What they do in that comic book is they even bring in different artists to draw. So you're like, this is like completely different. So anyways, that aside, I really like it. We're only 2 episodes into it. Interesting that Stephen Grant, who's the billionaire in the comic books, is just like a poor guy who works at a gift shop in a museum. Interesting. Maybe that should have been maybe Jake Lockley a little bit in this character, but who am I to argue? I don't make these awesome shows. I like the way they're developing this character. I like the whole, he's got these disassociated identities, so he doesn't know what's going on. So it really does a good job of showing that and painting the picture, and him just trying to figure out what in the world is going on here. And so tonight at midnight will be when the next episode releases. But as of the end of episode 2, we're in Egypt now, people, and things are gonna get real.
No.
So yeah, I really didn't know much of anything about Moon Knight going into the show. You gave both of us a little bit of cliff notes about who the character is,
right.
But this was exciting for me because this is a show that I went into more cold than I normally do on a Marvel property.
Right. Yep.
Absolutely loving it so far. Oscar Isaacs, I'm so happy is in the MCU because I would watch that dude in anything.
Yeah.
He's fantastic. He's nailing the different personalities like you were talking about.
Right.
You get to see when it's just how he changes his mannerisms and everything about him. You buy that it's a totally different character.
Bloody hell, bruv.
I think
Steven with a V.
I feel like it's really fun. I feel like it's really different from anything in the MCU right now. The CGI is a little weak, but not enough to take me out of it. And if I can stay into it, I'm pretty hard on that stuff. So I think I'm excited. I'm genuinely curious to see where this story is going. I think Moon Knight in full costume looks badass.
Oh, right?
I like the incorporation of the ancient Egyptian gods and all that in the MCU. So yeah, I'm totally on board. I think it's dope. I'm really looking forward to see where it goes. T. Crawler?
Yeah, no, I agree with everything you said, and it makes me forget the fact that they tried to make him Apocalypse, a weak ass Apocalypse in X-Men.
We don't talk about that movie. We don't talk about
Forget that part.
Yeah, that didn't happen. Because if Fox can forget continuity
What's Fox?
movie to movie,
Fox,
then we're
what's
going to
that?
forget about it too.
Yeah.
But no, I'm just glad that he got to be a different character in the whole Marvel scheme of things. Now that he's in the MCU, like you said, it's awesome. He's a great actor, and I love this. And going in cold with a character that don't know much about is awesome, because we're going to get a bunch of other shows that is going to be like that, like She-Hulk and Miss Marvel, all these things. I'm excited for all this stuff to come out, and not knowing much about these other characters is going to be awesome. I don't have anything that I'm expecting it to be, so I'm just going to be able to watch it and enjoy it.
And I think especially for people like us, not having an attachment of how this should go, that kind of is exciting,
right?
I think so.
Yep, I agree.
I'll tell you one of the things that I like in a lot of the things that they do is that some people complain, oh, this is not the way it happened in the comic book. I'm happy for that. I don't want to know what's going to happen next. I want it to surprise me. I want something to happen that I completely didn't expect. I want a character or a thing that happens to happen in a completely different direction, something I wouldn't have imagined. That's what makes this fun for me.
And those are probably the same people that walk
seasons
out during the credits in an MCU movie.
Yeah.
Freaking idiots.
Yeah, man. Haven't you learned yet?
I just laugh.
Yeah.
All right. So speaking of, the Hawkeye finale happened also while we were taking our little break.
Right.
So we already mentioned that Kingpin shows up.
Oh my God.
I thought that was dope.
Jeez.
So real quick, I really loved the show. I love Haley Steinfeld, and I was very happy that she got cast as Kate Bishop. I think perfect casting. I think her chemistry with
that was a fun, lighthearted program.
Yeah, wasn't it?
That made you just happy to watch.
Good times.
Yeah.
That was fantastic. Fantastic. I really liked everything about it. I like that Yelena showed up. I like that Kingpin showed up.
Yep.
I like where it left off. Like, there's really not much I could criticize from it. So, what did you guys think?
Was that gang the tracksuit?
Yeah. They were...
The Tracksuit Mafia. It's which is actually in the comic books, Tracksuit Mafia.
They kept it lighthearted. Like,
yeah.
It's like,
I guess like as it was happening, I could have done with them being a little more serious, but it was fine. The tone overall that they were going for on the show, it worked for them being comedic, it worked.
It was just supposed to be a fun, lighthearted show.
And so just being comedic and tone, like it totally worked as a show.
Dude, here's what I love of everything being connected. So I know we talked about Spider-Man No Way Home, but in the beginning of this, when he's swinging with MJ, he goes past the poster of the what's that play that's been playing in all these freaking shows?
Rogers,
Steve Rogers, or
the
whatever.
musical.
Rogers.
Yeah.
Yes. So you have the posters as he's swinging through at the end of No Way Home, and he comes in with the different Spider-Man suit, right? And he swings off the building. He comes across the freaking. The famous Christmas tree in Rockefeller Square, right? Which was the same Christmas tree in Hawkeye.
Yeah.
And like, holy crap. Like, it's just everything connects. It's
agreed.
awesome.
And a bigger point to build on is in Hawkeye, they mentioned that the Statue of Liberty is having construction done to it. And then in No Way Home, you see that they're adding the shield.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Which, by the way, that made me laugh because like that's cool and would piss off half of the population.
Yeah, in No Way Home, somebody was actually debating like they should leave the Statue of Liberty the way it is, blah, blah. But anyway, Hawkeye was a great show. I love the fact that they brought in the Kingpin the way they did, and the same act. I love it that they brought the guy from Netflix.
Yes.
They brought those guys over. But just how being Kingpin and just like he was just this ominous character. Like you can't. Like how this guy was like he's like almost indestructible, but he's still a person with no superpowers.
And just like how he delivers lines,
dude, he's freaking
so good.
Yeah, it's kind of So love the show. Love like Weapon 2 said how lighthearted it was and had its funny moments. Again, another show that they brought out that is just like a whole take on a whole other character that just was done very well.
And like whatever team, like whatever version of the Avengers we're gonna get moving forward, like it made me excited for that because like if we're gonna get Yelena and Kate Bishop on it, like that was their chemistry, their banter, all of that was fantastic. Like I want to see more of that and less of everything else.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So all right, good show. We were all happy with it.
Yep.
Let's go to some Star Wars. So I haven't seen this, but you guys have. Book of Boba Fett. Oh my God. What I've heard is that it starts very slow and it gets better, but that's mostly due to cameos. I've heard of the cameos. I'm not afraid of spoilers. Weapon 2, resident Star Wars superfan. What did you think?
So for this series, for me, it was a bit of a roller coaster. And the way, you're right, it was a slow roller coaster at times. And for me, you would see something that kind of excited you and you were excited about and you loved, and then they would do something else and you go, what in the world is going on here? Or it would just hit a lull. And so for me, in that, I mean, you got to get this right. It's Book of Boba Fett / Mandalorian. Because
okay,
there's episodes that are all Mandalorian episodes in this series. So I mean, they know which side of the bread they're buttered on because they brought in Grogu and Mandalorian.
They know which side of the bread they're buttered on.
Yes, and so
I'm going to steal that.
So they of course bring in the Mandalorian and Grogu because those are fan favorites.
Yep.
And so.
Didn't they bring Rosario Dawson in too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Jesus.
They bring Luke Skywalker in.
Why don't they just call it cameos?
So, I mean, there's all of those.
Book of cameos.
Sadly enough, those things are some of the biggest highlights of the season.
But doesn't that speak to a problem of the show then?
Yeah, here's the deal. So there was things that you would see that I don't know how everybody else felt like, but seeing him come out of the Sarlacc and and all this experience and meeting up with what's the sheriff's name? I can't remember his name, but all that. So he meets him. There's some interactions and him trying to establish himself as the new crime boss. To some degree, there was some rough parts in there, but then they bring in the Gamorrean guards. Is that how you say it? And so a lot of the characters there, you're like, oh, great, that's cool. I haven't seen these guys since Return of the Jedi, and so a lot of it was cool. And then you would hit the motors, the speeder gang, and the Vespa crew, the Vespa speeder crew.
So much less cool.
And you would hit those and you'd go, this is like so cheesy. It's almost like you're watching one of the Back to the Future movies.
Back to the Future 2.
And so it's like,
my God.
you're like, what? I don't even know what's going
on here?
It just got cheesy. I got extra cheese on this slice, and so I don't know. This is what I think. I liked it. I liked that there's a Boba Fett series that exists.
Yes.
I liked parts of it. I think that it was mostly, to some degree, a lost potential, because I think they could have done so much more with the Boba Fett character and his experience, where some of it was good. Some of it, the flashbacks, his experience with the Tusken Raiders, all that, those are the strongest parts. His experience with the Tusken Raiders and trying to go into their tribe and learn their customs, that was the strongest part of his character arc for me. And then they all got killed off. And it's like, oh, by these cheesy, goofy motorcycle gang guys. And so for me, it was lost potential. I'm glad Boba Fett and a series exists in the Star Wars universe. I think they could have done much more with it. I think a lot of the cameos and stuff were exciting, like fan favorites, like we talk about stuff, exciting to see. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, now we're not really in a Boba Fett story anymore. We're back on the Mandalorian.
It's just a book.
I
Book of Boba Fett.
I was gonna say, it sounds like he maybe didn't warrant his own show.
Here's the thing. He did warrant his own show. If we haven't learned anything else with Disney Plus, the MCU, Star Wars, if you bring in the right directors and you bring in the right writers and you tell the right story, you can bring in the most obscure character, the character that doesn't mean anything, and you can make people care about them and make them interesting. So the problem was with the showrunners, the people who developed this, they didn't do their job when it came to Boba Fett. And it's almost like they went, oh, let's just fall back on the Mandalorian, where you could have really made this a strong series.
Yeah.
And it was like they started going down some good roads, and then they would like cut off the most interesting part of what you're interested in and say, oh, we're going to go in a different direction. And you're like, but why?
Right.
Because I was really into where you were going with this, and now it's just over.
Huh.
Yeah.
So, T-Crawler? What do you think?
I agree with a lot of things that Weapon 2 said, but I enjoyed it because it gave me some more backstory to how he got out of the Sarlacc pit. It gave me, the flashbacks were awesome for me. It gave another level to the Tusken Raiders. It's because they weren't just these guys in the desert that were just shooting up things and making it freaking yelling at stuff. Like they actually had
tribe.
some,
they had their own community.
Right. They had some depth to them. It like made it so you actually kind of cared for them. Like, oh, okay, there's some substance to what they're doing.
Them.
Like,
you understood them and their life and where they come from.
Exactly. Yeah. So the backstory and all that stuff. Some of the things I thought were cool were the Rancor. You see that again,
of course.
And and then that he was brought this Rancor, and like just telling the story of like, and the person that brought him the Rancor was the guy, the freaking character, the guy that plays Machete and He plays
Danny Trejo.
Yeah.
He was the freaking guy who brought him.
Well, the Hutts brought him.
Well,
they brought Danny Trejo and they brought Machete and the Rancor.
Yeah, but he explained to him like the first person that the Rancor sees is the one they connect with. So just a little, just that little part. But again, the Hutts. You bringing up the Hutts. I love the fact that they showed the Hutts.
Funny thing is, all these people have to carry them around, and they're enormous.
Big ass,
and they're like, we live in a world where there's hovercrafts. Okay, where there's a machine that could do the work, but now I'm going to make these people carry us.
And you still, so you get the.
That's a real flex, bro.
He has a lot of things in this series that I did enjoy. Yes, they did bring the Mandalorian into it. You do see whatever that lady's name is that helped fix the ship or whatever, and the way she talks about having a relationship with the Jawas, like she had a relationship with the Jawas. She's like kind of hairy. I'm like, oh my god, this girl is just nasty. Like she had a relationship with the Jawas. I was like, yeah, and I was like, oh, but anyway, freaky. So they have those, and he cracks me up. Web2 cracks me when he talks about the Vespa gang. Like it does. They kind of go into this thing where it's like something out of that would look like out of Back to the Future 2 with this younger group of whatever these guys are like have android parts and stuff. I forgot what they actually call them, but yeah, there's parts of it that were kind of like meh. But for me, all in all, I liked the Book of Boba Fett because again, like the way he went out and Return of the Jedi was kind of sucked. Like and so to see him establishing himself was kind of cool, and then. His second in command, the sniper, I can't remember her name, but she was in Mandalorian also, Right. So, but she's pretty badass. Like
there's that's what I'm saying. There's so many good characters.
See the other.
Was so much
that other Wookiee.
Yeah.
He was badass.
What's his name?
I can't remember. He was badass though.
Sakarin or whatever. Buck Sakarin or whatever.
Slip.
Anyways, he's a black hairy Wookiee, and so
he's a black guy,
and so he
he's a black Wookiee.
I didn't bring race into this. I was talking about the color of his fur.
It's a black hairy.
Okay, I don't know where you're going with this, T-crawler, but
okay, all right.
But there was so many good characters in this. There was so much. They had so much. The options were endless.
Yeah.
And they would. I was really getting into it, and I have to be honest. When they killed off that entire Tusken tribe, that was a huge series letdown for me. I was like, man, I was really getting into this, and I could have been. He had like an alliance with them,
right?
Or they were like they kind of reoccurred throughout the whole thing. That would have brought me into it more. It was like they cut off this thing and a lot of people were like, well, I was really into that part,
right?
So, and you're right. The Rancor was cool. There was a lot of cool things about the fight at the end. It was weird that they had so many different little groups of people. It would have been kind of more interesting instead of all these different groups of people. They had like maybe a couple of larger groups. So I don't know. I don't make stuff like this. Nobody pays me millions of dollars to do stuff like this. So who am I to say?
It was entertaining.
I'm just saying it was entertaining.
Yes.
I feel like they had more, what do you call it? It just, it could have been more. It wasn't horrible. Like any of this stuff. It's varying degrees of good and way better. So, I mean, it was a good show. It was a fun show to watch. As a Star Wars fan, I think you should watch all of the things that they offer. And so, I'm glad I watched it. I'm glad it exists. I just think they had the ability to make it a little better.
All right,
there we go.
That's fair. All right, so let's real quick. Let's wrap up with Superman and Lois. Real quick. So, what did you think of that show, Scott? I haven't seen it, so what did you think?
I am not really into the Berlanti-verse. And I don't really get into the CW stuff. I watched the
okay? Are you okay?
I watched the two seasons of this. I think on one of our previous things, in the part that didn't get
Why
aired,
are you bringing up bullshit?
I'm sorry. I had said that I had kind of made fun of it a little bit in the first season, In season 2, they bring in Bizarro.
Bizarro, yes.
And I was into that. I loved that.
Yeah.
I really, really, really liked season 2 more than season 1.
Mm-hmm.
It's really kind of a family drama, so I kind of made fun of that part of it, but it's really like, hey, if you were like really living with Superman, he was like really your dad, and you like had all these teenage problems, and then in the middle of it, Bizarro comes in, and that was all good. I mean, spoiler alert, Bizarro gets killed in season 2, so he really became a kind of a more complex character than I expected.
I love the Bizarro just showing him like inhaling the kryptonite, which made him stronger.
Yeah. And
then they have this thing in Smallville right now called X-Kryptonite, which is being mined and stuff. Like, so you have the teenagers and other people in this community selling X-Kryptonite, which gives them some type of powers, you know. So real quick, I love that the whole family aspect you're talking about is going on. One of the kids, they have fraternal twins. Jordan is the kid that's actually developing the powers. Lois's father, who's a general, is training him to fight. So you see him in season 2 actually go into action and fight, like, and him fighting and doing the thing and honing in like his powers looks freaking awesome. There's a scene in the last episode I saw. He freaking ran up on this guy. He takes this one guy out, and then this guy shoots beams because he's taking X-Kryptonite, so he has the laser beam, the eye beams. He shoots him, and then all of a sudden, it's like a thing out of the Matrix. Like, he sees these eye beams, and it's like slow to him. So he's like, "Oh, wow, I'm moving."
Because Superman's fast.
Yeah, and it goes by him, and then he's like, "Oh," he gets this look on his face like this guy's dead. He goes over, speed runs, punches this guy. Not just punches him, does something out of freaking the Injustice game. He freezes him. You see freaking hit ice, and then he uppercuts him. I expected to hear "Toasty." You know, it's like the way he did it. Dude, he like runs. Freezes him, then bam, just punches him. Dude, it's so freaking awesome. Like, this show, like you said, the season 2 has been really great. Like, the other kid doesn't have the powers. He took some of the X-Kryptonite to give him some of the powers because he's a football player. He wanted to, to up his level of.
Can I say one thing? So you have X-Kryptonite, right? That's what it's called. Mm-hmm. Something that's developed by the military. They want to create their own Superman. Am I right so far?
Right. You're right. You're right.
Next thing you know, this is just some rando street drug that every high school kid now has Superman powers. It's not like some random drug that people are getting high on. Random high school kids have Superman powers.
Yeah.
I don't know what to think about that, folks. I mean, am I wrong?
Well, you know,
isn't that weird?
Like you said before, you don't get paid millions of dollars.
Pretty
to make
freaking weird.
Shows.
Are we just gonna, all the high school kids can all be super people?
We just don't think about that.
Anyway, that is the best argument for superhero nonsense I've ever heard. You know what? Don't think about it.
Don't think about it. Anyway, yeah. So it's a great show. Just again with the Berlantiverse, they're meta. The reason I brought up the Injustice thing is because the kids play that in season 1. Like, before they know their dad's Superman, the Jordan, who's more emo, he has anxiety stuff, and he's playing Injustice, and his dad sees Superman versus whoever. He's like, "Man, you're playing a good Superman." He's like, "Dad, everybody knows Superman's boring." It's freaking hilarious. And then he does this move out of the game.
Hashtag Superman is boring.
He does this move out of the game. It's freaking just awesome. And the fact that they brought Bizarro into this whole thing, like, great show. Superman Lois has been, it's I think it's a breath of fresh air that the Berlantiverse needed after, I don't know, DC's Legends of whatever. I just felt it fell off for me. I stopped watching it. Arrow's done. Flash is finishing its last season, so this has been a good show.
I heard Flash. So I used to watch all the Berlantiverse also. I stopped watching everything after Arrow. I heard Flash fell off a cliff pretty hard too. Is that true?
It did, and then it's like it has like this redemption arc right now, I think, with this last season. But you can only do so much with the different species you're fighting against. Like, it did kind of fall off. I think that you could tell that they're wrapping it up. Like, this is the last season. So
my thing with the Flash, and I really like the Flash, and I think at its peak, like in its early seasons, it was really, really good. Like, so for any superhero thing you're watching, you have to have a certain amount of suspension of disbelief, right? Mm-hmm. Flash, the show, made that really hard sometimes because, like, there was a scene where he and like Elongated Man were going after like this robber or something in an apartment building, and like a bookcase got dropped on the both of them, and all of a sudden you see the robber run out the door, and then they get the bookcase off of them, and they're like, he got away. And I'm like, you're the Flash. He's not even out of the building yet. You could run outside, go home, make a fucking ham sandwich, come back and still catch the guy. Like, what are we talking about? So it's just like really
I haven't
hard.
seen this episode. I didn't know that Elongated Man was in.
Yeah, no, he's
I love Elongated Man.
No, he's funny. He's really funny.
He's a good character.
In the comic books, I love the Elongated Man.
He's a really good character. But just stuff like that, you know what I mean?
Last season they did bring Impulse into it. So Impulse is Barry's son and daughter are now in this. They're back and forth in time. They come back to talk to their parents or whatever. But you have to watch it to see, because at first in the previous season they know they had a daughter. She went back to her time to not mess up everything or whatever. I don't know how they're gonna be able to go back and forth without.
She was cool. I liked her. I remember I liked that.
She was good. They come back and he's like, we have a son too. Like, and his name is Impulse. And so people that have followed like shows like Young Justice, and just anything DC, especially like the animated stuff, you know who Impulse is, or even the comics. I'm sorry. So it's just like, you know who Impulse is. I'm glad they brought him into the show. But like, again, this is last season. I think it's great that they're ending it. They probably should have ended it a lot sooner. But sometimes, it can be gone. They go too long.
The show's popular, makes money. They're going to keep making it.
Right. So yeah. So that's that.
Nice. All right.
Rest in peace, Justice League. So I have to say, because what in the world is going on with the Justice League?
Yeah. TC. Damn. Okay. So that was a lot of stuff, guys. Thank you for sticking with us and all of that. Weapon 2, let's wrap up now and pitch a contest that
here's the deal.
Never going into contest.
We might not ever have to worry about this, because we're trying to get to 300 subscribers.
Still.
Which we've been trying for a while.
Burn.
And so if you want to get a box of awesome stuff, at this point, you probably got to get about 50 people to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and comment with your name so we know who you are. And if you do that, and we reach 300, and we draw your name at random, what we're going to do is give you a box of awesome stuff. It's going to contain a Funko Pop from Everett, Washington, locally sourced, grass grain fed, free range, gluten free, all those good things. And we are going to include a t-shirt of the 4 logo options that we have in your size. That's why we want to know what size you wear, and then we want to know an address to send this stuff to you. We'll include comic books, an original drawing by me of your favorite character, whoever you like. That's what I'm going to do for you. You can check me out at Stolen Cheese World on Instagram. That's where I post fun little sketches and drawings and art things that I make of different characters, mostly nerd stuff. And geez, did I leave anything out? We're going to send that stuff to you, and it's going to be fun. And you'll enjoy it. It's free to you. All you have to do is subscribe, and anybody who has subscribed to our channel and is a current subscriber will be eligible to every drawing that we have, not only the 300 drawing, but the 400, 500, and every drawing from that point on. Right. So just do it. I might even post on our Facebook page the directions. What we like you to do is share this this opportunity to other people who also want to subscribe, and then they can know about it.
Yes.
Share our YouTube videos if you want, so that people can see them.
Check out us on Facebook. Follow us on on Instagram. This guy makes original memes. They're freaking great. Check that out on Instagram. Also, our sister channel, whatever if you guys want to call that we have Unsheathed Sword Reviews. You have this guy here, that guy here, and a friend of the show, H. Dresden. Dude, we were talking about Vikings earlier. If you want to see some cutty, stabby, freaking real life weapons that are do some damage, check that channel out. These guys are awesome with reviewing the stuff. You see the joy they have when they're opening. I love watching it. I'm not part of it, and just being a fan watching it, I love it. I love the joy. You guys see after you're unboxing, you see what you're getting out of it. It's freaking awesome. Check them out. It's freaking awesome. Unsheathed Sword Reviews.
Oh, thank you, T. Crawler.
Yeah, of course.
Sick plug. And thank you, Weapon 2. You nailed the contest plug. It's almost like you guys have been doing this for a while.
I've been doing it for a while. We've been out of practice, been on hiatus. But hey, I'll tell you what, I've enjoyed this time with the both of you.
Yes.
T. Crawler, Captain Mal, it's good to be back after our hiatus due to life and adulting. And now, here we are.
Goodbye.
This was a lot of fun. I'm so happy to be back. I have missed this so much, and like you miss it, but then once you get going, you realize how much you missed it.
Right.
So yeah, I can't wait to like edit this. This is gonna be so much fun. Thank you guys for coming out. Thank you for joining us. T. Crawler, closing thoughts.
I don't have anything else. I put it all out there on the table.
Put it all out on the line.
Put it
all
out there.
on the line.
It's out there.
Weapon 2.
We rocked this. We killed it. We killed it, fellas. We did it. We did it again. We'll do it next time. Stay tuned for our next episode, folks.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this episode of the world's greatest news and reviews. If you've enjoyed, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications.
Peace.
Untitled.